So Dallas Wilson, 5-star wide receiver who I talked about last week on the show, and yeah, you should keep your eye on that particular name. Florida's making a push. He's committed to Oregon right now. That's a verbal commitment, but he tweeted out yesterday that he is going to sign on December 4th, the early National Signing Day. That's when pen will be put to paper, and barring a Peyton Bowen situation, he'll become an Oregon Duck or not. Or not. That can go either way. Oregon's still got a very real chance. I'm just telling you, I have it on good authority. Florida is making a very serious push to try and he's a Florida kid, so it makes a lot of sense. And he's a really talented guy. Really talented guy. So that's the first name to be aware of. But here's another one that's quite fascinating. Naeem Offord. So Offord is a 5-star defensive back. These are all 5-star prospects, by the way, class of 2025. Offord is a 5-star defensive back who is currently verbally committed to Ohio State. And in this scenario, Oregon is trying to be what Florida is trying to be to Oregon with Dallas Wilson. They're trying to get the old Uno reverse card and flip them around to become a Duck. Now, this has been rumored for a long time. If you go back to the summer shows that I was doing, Offord's name has come up many times before because he's a big-time prospect. He's currently committed to Ohio State and has been for a while. There was even a piece written on an Ohio State website. I think it was Buckeyes 24/7. I don't remember specifically, but it was an Ohio State website saying that the expectation was that, not the possibility, the expectation was that Offord was going to flip. Well, he never did, or at least he hasn't yet. So December 4th could be a crazy day. I keep seeing these tweets from On3 people or rivals or recruiting services and people that cover it, on the ground that keep saying, oh man, December 4th is going to be crazy. There are going to be so many flips. Well, based on what I have seen, heard, and read about the players Oregon's going after, yeah, that could be true. There could be a lot of madness. There could be a lot of craziness come December 4th. And they've moved it up with the college football playoff schedule and whatnot. This should all be done in February. That's my opinion. I think this should all be done in February. I think it makes it easier for coaches. I think it makes it easier for players. They can finish out their high school seasons and not have this looming. Teams don't have to worry about putting together recruiting classes at the same time they're preparing for conference championship games and the playoff and all that sort of stuff. But this is the world that we've got right now. So Naeem Offord is down to Ohio State, where he's verbally committed, Auburn, and Oregon. And remember, he has been committed to Ohio State since before the aforementioned, or not aforementioned on this show, but the October 12th game between the Ducks and the Buckeyes. I don't know how big of a difference that makes, but it can't hurt. It cannot hurt. Speaking of 5-star defensive backs, Brandon Finney was on campus this past weekend. So was Jakheem Stewart, who is a 5-star defensive lineman. So Finney has been upgraded by recruiting services, at least by 24/7, to get, I think, by rivals as well, to get 5-star status. And he has been, not surprisingly, highly coveted by a couple other schools. He had an official visit to Michigan. That apparently did not happen. The school that I've long heard is going after Finney really hard, though, is Penn State. So Penn State's the school to watch for Brandon Finney, who, again, is verbally committed to Oregon. Jakheem Stewart, on the other hand, is not verbally committed anywhere. And so Stewart is a guy that Oregon is just trying to claim. And Stewart was also reportedly on campus over the weekend. He has a long offer list, shall we say. If you think about a big time brand, a big time school, he's got an offer, he's got interest, like he's got. I'll pull up his interest list right now. The final four, according to 24/7, are Ohio State, LSU, USC, and Oregon. Plenty more could go after him. But this guy is a top 15, 20 player in the class of 2025. He was actually 2026 at one point in time, reclassified to 2025, still a top 5 defensive lineman in the country and a 5-star. That's crazy. It's one thing for a guy like Kyler Casper to do that at wide receiver and still be a highly rated recruit coming out of high school. A defensive lineman to still be, he's just going up a class and still top 5 sort of guy. So Couple of big time guys that were on campus over the weekend who Oregon is absolutely positively in the thick for. Stewart has had some good things to say about the Ducks, but I think that between all of these guys, Naeem Offord, Brandon Finney, and Jakheem Stewart, and Dallas Wilson, I think the floor for Oregon, the floor is 2. If one guy flips, I'd expect Oregon to get one of the other ones. If they only come away with one of these 4 guys, I'd be a little disappointed because I think that's falling short of the full potential. I don't see them getting all 4, so I think the ceiling is 3, but I think the floor is absolutely, it should be 2. It should be 2 when you have 2 guys who are already verbally committed. If you lose one to a flip, you should be able to flip somebody else. But if they come up with 3, if they come up with 4, I'm going to go bonkers. I'm going to go crazy because I'm not expecting that. But I think 4 is more likely than 1, but you're probably going to end up with 2 or 3, and we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. And there are other names that can certainly pop up going into December 4th, but those are the big names right now that I'm certainly following on the recruiting trail. And then there's another one. There's another one, and I don't fully understand, but I kind of understand. I don't know. There could be a lot of implications with this. But another newly minted 5-star guy, at least in the eyes of at least one recruiting service, is Jaren Kiwe Sagapolutele. He is a left-handed 5-star quarterback. Oregon is currently having a good amount of success with left-handed quarterbacks. Make of that what you will. When I think left-handed college quarterbacks, I think Sean Canfield of Oregon State. I am not even kidding. That's where my mind goes every single time. I'd be curious where you guys go, but for me, in my life as a college football fan, that's the first left-handed quarterback I really remember seeing in the college game. Of course, Michael Vick in the NFL, but I go to Sean Canfield every time. Oregon is so loaded at the quarterback spot. He's currently verbally committed to Cal. I saw a post that said he's down to Cal and Oregon. Well, on paper, if you look at those 2 schools, yeah, Oregon is the clear and obvious choice, right? Here's the calculation I imagine Jaren is going through. When would he be able to compete for the starting quarterback job? It's not in 2025. And heck, with the redshirting of Dante Moore, it would only be in 2026 if Dante Moore kind of flops as the starter next season. So, and you would still have in the room Achilles Smith Jr., who Oregon already has. That's one of the 10 best quarterbacks in the class of 2025. Whereas if Kiwe Sagapolutele, I actually had that right and I cut myself off for no reason. If Kiwe Sagapolutele were to commit to Cal, the odds that he plays as a true freshman, they're significantly higher. Significantly higher. And that doesn't factor into every quarterback's calculations. Some guys want to be developed. I mean, look at Dante Moore. He went to UCLA, competed for the starting job right away. It didn't go well. And he goes to Oregon because he knows, I need to be developed. I need time. I need to sit. I need to learn. Maybe Jaren feels like he wants to play right away. That's what I imagine the calculation has to be. Do I want to have a chance to go to Oregon and compete for the starting job in a crowded room of really talented guys? Novosad is in the room. Luke Moga is in the room, who's a crazy good athlete. Like, there are just a lot. There are a lot of guys to go up against there. I imagine Cal's lineup of quarterbacks isn't as deep. But Oregon's apparently still in the fold. I don't think there's really anybody else, at least that I have seen. And I don't know. I don't know. That one's a little bit bizarre to me. I don't know. We'll see. We'll just have to wait and see and react to it as the news comes down. But that's an outside one that I think Oregon fans should definitely keep an eye on.